With a notoriously long growing time, but a relatively short harvesting window, there's a surprisingly large list of things that affects the size of your garlic bulbs. Fertilizer, watering, soil quality, spacing, timing, variety, just to name a few. But the one we're most interested in today are these guys right here. That's right, we're talking the garlic scapes. The vast majority of my scapes were diligently cut over 6 weeks ago. However, in the name of science, on purpose I left 20 or so intact to grow so that we could do some experimenting. The theory is that as a flower head, energy is taken away from the bulb and put into building these scapes. But is this truly the case? Does leaving the scapes on really affect the bulb size? Or in the end, does it even matter? Today, we find out. Hard-neck types of garlic grow for the better part of a year, spanning all 4 seasons. Amazingly though, it's really only the last 4 to 6 weeks that the bulbs put on any size. Coincidentally, or not, 4 to 6 weeks ago is the exact time when we cut off all those garlic scapes in the first place. But let's dial it back a bit here. What exactly are garlic scapes, and how can they affect the garlic bulb size in such a tiny harvesting window? In the world of garlic, there are 2 main types, hardneck and softneck. Taste, size, and climate preferences aside, the main difference between the 2 of them that we're concerned with today is the scape. A scape is simply the flowering structure of the hardneck varieties of garlic. First appearing in the late spring, these long stem beauties start out curly, eventually straightening out, reaching for the sky. Impressive structures that are also tasty, but only if you harvest them young and tender. Today though, we're only concerned with the effect that they have on the bulb size and eventual harvest. So finally, after 9+ months in the ground in various spots all around my garden, the garlic is ready to harvest. Let's go ahead and dig it up, scapes and all, compare them, and see how we did. Harvesting garlic is super easy, as it basically grows right at the surface. Timing-wise, it's done when 1/2 to 2/3 of the foliage has turned brown, dried up, and died off. Once we see the foliage in this state, we know that the bulbs are ready to pull up, cure, and store. As for the bulbs with the scape still attached versus the ones where they were cut, well, visually, they do appear to be a bit smaller, but that's not very scientific, is it? Let's go ahead, harvest the rest of the bed, measure things properly, and see how they stack up. To keep the measurements consistent and more accurate, I'm only going to be measuring garlic from the same batch. Same variety, planted at the same time, in the same bed, using the same soil, all harvested at the same time. So to keep this level of consistency, we have to process all the bulbs in exactly the same way. First, we trim off all the roots, nice and clean, right up flush with the bulb. This will eliminate any discrepancies in root size, as well as get rid of any clumps of dirt that are still hanging on. We're going to measure and compare our garlic purely by weight, so right away, this is going to make things far more accurate. Next, let's get rid of the foliage, the stem, and the scape itself. I do want to eventually weigh those scapes though, so I'm going to set them aside for later. To cut the stems, let's use a 2-inch measurement to keep everything consistent and equal. I'm going to draw out a little jig for this so that it's much easier to cut this many bulbs all to the exact same length. With the roots cut and the jig in place, the stems are short work. Each one perfectly equal, making our measurements that much more accurate. Again, I am tossing the stems, yes, but I am setting those scapes aside. I do want to see how much they weigh and how much energy they've taken away from the plant. Okay, with the garlic all processed, let's do some weighing. Already in the first few bulbs, the discrepancy in the results is pretty staggering. Yes, it's only a small data set, but I can definitely see where this is trending. 20 garlic bulbs were grown with the scapes left on, coming in at a total of 660 grams. This gives us an average weight of 33 grams per bulb, with the largest bulb being 49 grams and the smallest being just 18. For the bulbs whose scapes were cut off, a total of 50 were grown, coming in at a weight of 3,050 grams, giving us an average of 61 grams per bulb. The largest came in at a whopping 78 grams, with the smallest being 34 grams. Just for cutting those scapes off in the spring, we gained an average of 28 grams per bulb. That works out to 85% more harvest. Very interesting stuff. So not only did we not get to enjoy the scapes as a secondary harvest, trust me, they really are delicious, but we also lost a huge percentage of our potential harvest just by leaving them on. Again, to reiterate, this is only for the hard-neck varieties of garlic. But for a crop that takes this long to grow and get a harvest from, we for sure want to maximize every bit of yield possible. Back to weighing those scapes. Now, I'm just taking the portion that grows above the line of foliage, cutting it right where I would back in the spring. Of the 20 I had, they came out to a total weight of 640 grams, giving them an average weight of 32 grams each. No surprise there, but that's nearly the identical amount of weight missing from the garlic bulbs themselves. Fascinating. I think we can finally put this one to bed and safely say that cutting the scapes off your hardneck garlic in the spring is a good idea. Coupled with other best practices, this is going to give you your biggest garlic harvest. Hey, as always guys, happy growing, best of luck with the garlic harvest this year, and I'll see you soon. Hey, thanks so much for watching guys. Truly, this channel wouldn't exist without passionate gardeners like you. For even more info-packed videos like this, check out this playlist of garden quickies here. And for those of you that are interested, my online course, Vegetable Gardening Basics, is live and ready for enrollment. As always, happy growing, and I'll see you in the next one.